series of, here we go. This is the Hareline Dubbin fly tying material kit. Top 20 patterns for the beginners. How about that? We are on, I believe it's number 12 of this video series, for this live series. What we have going on here is I was able to get a kit for each of the participants of my local Project Healing Waters program, and I am compiling a video series to match with the book that matches with the kit that they all received. So we're all going to work on these together at their own pace. Anyways, this is the Bucktail streamer. We're going to go ahead and get out that size 6 streamer hook. We're going to need that 6/0 black Veevus thread. The body is going to consist of that 4-strand Rayon Floss yellow. Rib is the Dansville Mylar Tinsel, and then for that wing is going to be the brown and yellow Bucktail. So again, everything included in this pattern is included in the kit. So let's go ahead and slide on over to the bench, and we'll tie a couple of Bucktail streamers. What do you say? Alright, so once again we are using the size 6 streamer hook. Let's go ahead and get that fixed into our vise. Just about like so, nice and level. As we know, when we're tying flies, gravity is our friend. I like to hang our bobbin and stuff. We're going to use the 6/0 Veevus black. Let's go ahead and start our thread. We're going to start our thread about an eye's length behind the eye. Eye. The book refers that as the no tie zone. But whatever you can use in your own mind to help you remember these little things. Let's go ahead and continue our thread wraps. And this is going to be a nice even body. So we're going to just take our time, working our way from the front to back, laying down a nice even thread base. As we get towards the tip of the hook, we'll be careful and bounce our thread around that. We'll get right to the bend. And when we're at the bend, we're going to take our Mylar tinsel. This is actually, it says it's a size 14. We're going to trim off a little piece, so this is a little bit easier to work with. Now if we look close, it's two-sided. There is a gold side and a silver side. We're going to tie this gold side out, because when we palmer this forward, we want the silver side to show. A couple of locking wraps at the rear, and we'll wrap that in, working our way forward just a little bit. And we'll continue our thread wraps towards the front. Again, we're laying a nice even thread base. We're going to stop just short of that eye's length behind the eye. Alright. Yellow floss. This is that Rayon floss. 300 denier each. Some pretty chunky stuff. So we're going to take a small section of this and just go ahead and lock that off. Alright, we'll use our lift and lower technique to just get this in here. I like to take a couple of wraps and then we can cinch that down a little bit closer, minimize our waste. And I'm going to tie this nice and even. And on that top quarter of that hook. Nice and even thread wraps, keeping tension on it. I'm pulling back and out slightly with the floss. And we'll just make sure we dance our thread around here on that tip of that hook. Once we're at the rear, we'll kind of Do a quick turn and burn and start working our thread back towards the front of the hook. So it's a little dance back and forth, but the name of the game is even. Nice and even thread wraps. Perfect. We'll park that right there, and we'll trim off our excess nice and close. Palm up, elbow in. Alright, we have our floss. Let's go ahead and palmer this forward now. We're going to take slightly overlapping wraps. We just want to make sure we get a nice, even coverage. So take your time. And we're going to do our best to lay this down nice and flat. We're going to wrap this in a forward direction. Be super mindful of that tip of that hook. We'll just slowly work our way forward. And I've opted to just keep it attached to the spool, just so I don't waste any. But if it's easier for you to trim off a full length, go ahead and go for that. The book calls for 6 to 8 inches. And if you cut it at 8 inches and use 6, then you end up with a 2-inch waist. Which isn't the end of the world, but as I say, the frugal fly tyer is seldomly bored. So if we're frugal with our material, they'll last just a little bit longer. Nice and even, and I'm letting this rayon floss slide between my fingers as I keep this nice and tight to the shank of the hook. Work our way all the way up to our thread. There we have it. And we're still that eye's length behind the eye. We don't want to crowd the eye because we're going to be adding some bucktail here in a minute. Last thing we want to do is crowd the eye. We'll do a few locking wraps to the rear. Switch hands. Do a couple more wraps in front. And you know me, I like to do one last one at the rear. Trim off our floss. Set that off to the side. Now we have 0 waste. Just that little bit at the tag end at the very beginning. Alright, now we're going to palmer forward our Mylar tinsel. We're going to work our way from the back to the front, and we want this to end up so the silver side is out. So we're going to work as a counter wrap. We're going to do nice and even. Be mindful of that tip of that hook. Mylar is pretty tough, but it's not that tough. Keep it nice and tight to that floss. We'll do a nice even open spiral. Maybe leave an eye's length in between, maybe slightly less. It's up to you. Just let it slide in your fingers so you can maintain proper tension. If you're just grabbing it and letting go, things can go a little astray. Alright, we are at our thread. We'll go ahead and lock that off with some securing wraps. A couple of wraps. And I like to fold back and wrap on top of it a little bit, if possible. Trim off our excess, and you can save a little niblet for a rainy day. It's a sizable piece. That might go in. Find its way into our scrap bin. Alright, up next, let's do our wing. And we're going to start with the yellow bucktail. And we're going to take a small little piece. Let's go right about there. do is we want to go all the way down to the hide. When we go to trim, it's kind of hard to do on camera, but work your way all the way down to the hide. It works better if you just trim it in your lap, but that way you get the full length of the hair. Alright, what we're going to do next is we're going to prepare this by cleaning it. Bucktail and all hair, you can't over clean it. And what I mean by clean it is we're taking all the fluff out of the base. And we're just going to fluff that out just like that. No tools are needed, however, if you do have yourself a eyebrow brush, I found that that works really great. Alright, we'll go look at this other end. We got some stragglies. So we'll just go ahead and pluck those kind of really long, uneven ones out. Alright. Let's go ahead and measure out our wing. And we want to measure this out. What do we want to measure it? We want to measure it a hook's length. So we want a couple. Alright, so there's our hook's length. That's going to stick out the back. Slide our fingers. So this is a good sizable wing there. And you reserve the right to be picky. I'm going to take a small little piece, maybe not that much, because we're going to end up adding some more bucktail. 3-stage process. So there's that piece. We're going to tie it right about at that length. So pinch down on that. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 wraps, nice and tight. Keep it on top. Fold that back. A couple wraps right away. And this will help keep it from spinning. And then I'll take a couple more wraps right on top. Let's go ahead and trim that excess off. I'm just going to continue to lock that down just a little bit more. Excellent. Alright, up next, we're going to transfer on to the brown bucktail. Same as before. We're going to take a small little section and do yourself the favor and trim all your hair nice and close to the hide. Take a quick second, clean this out. What I do when I go to clean this out sometimes is I'll roll it in my fingertips. And that'll kind of help free anything that might be trapped loose. Alright, let's go ahead and line up our bucktail, same length as before. Do one soft wrap to capture it. Couple more locking wraps with increased tension. Do a wrap underneath and park one more on top. Alright, so now we're going to start paying attention here. We want to make sure we trim our material at an angle so we don't end up with a cliff, a material cliff. We want to keep our head nice and tapered. That way when it comes time to finish it all off, we don't have this big, giant, ginormous head up front. We'll take our time, make sure that's nice and even. It should almost look like a nice little triangle when it's all said and done with. Alright, one last round of bucktail. I'm going to switch back to the yeller. Yellow bucktail. Time. Let's go ahead and trim this off nice and close to the hide. And remember, this is just a bucktail piece that comes in the kit. This isn't the full bucktail. And if this was a full bucktail, I'd be going right towards the tip. for that tail, for those nice big long hairs. Clean out the base. Grab any of these long ones that might be just a little bit too long and clean out any little shorties. Give it a little twist. Preparation is key. Alright, one last time, let's go ahead and lay this on top, and this is going to go that full length again. Just a little bit less. If you stack it on there and it just looks like it's too much, take a little bit off. Alright, let's set that right on top. Again, a couple of soft wraps to capture it, and a few more wraps with the increased tension. Now we're stacking these all right on top of each other. Boom, 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 one after another. Alright, let's go ahead and trim this at an angle. And we'll clean up our head up front. We're done with this up front. We want a nice, clean, black head that tapers down towards the eye of the hook. And I'll have to build it up just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do here at the very end, just to kind of help keep that wing sitting up loud and proud, I'm going to lift that all up. I'm going to take a couple of thread wraps right underneath, pull forward, and there we go. See how that wing sits up just a little bit higher now. I like that. Alright, we'll take our thread right to the eye of the hook, and we'll finish this off with a whip finish. 1, 2, 3. Big old streamer, we'll give it another round. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Trim off our tying thread nice and close to the head, and we'll add a little bit of head cement. Well, that turned out pretty good. We're going to use this water-based Loon Outdoors head cement, also included in this wonderful little kit. And this is a big head, so we'll just actually use the applicator brush just to get a first couple drops on there. Once you get it wet, use your bodkin help it smear around. And that's going to soak in there. And that'll add us just a little insurance policy. Help keep this little bucktail streamer lasting for days to come, hours on the water. So that is the bucktail streamer. Questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave in the comment section. Let's go ahead and reset and tie another one. What do you say? We'll set that one off to the side. And again, we are using a size 6. This is that size 6 streamer hook from the kit pack. And again, our tying thread, here we go, 6/0 Veevus black. Alright, we'll start our thread about an eye's length behind the eye. Eye. And we'll start laying our thread base from front to rear. Pause for a quick second and trim off that tag end. Alright, let's go ahead and continue our thread wraps all the way to the back end. And if you don't cover every square inch of this hook, it's be alright. Last that tip of that hook, we'll work our thread around that. Mylar tinsel. It's that size 14. I'm going to take another piece off. Just move your tape. That's what I do. Alright, so for this we want this to end up, this two-colored, two-tone. We got silver on one side and gold on the other. Gold and silver, silver and gold. We want to tie it gold side out to start. So we end up with the silver side in. Set that on the near side of the hook. Start wrapping forward with some locking wraps. Once that's tied in, we'll continue our thread wraps forward. And we're going to grab our 4-strand yellow rayon. About 6-8 inches or so. And I'm just going to leave it attached right to the spool. Just like that. Leave it in that little cut notch. Okay. Come underneath. We'll use our little lift and lower technique. Take a wrap or two, and then watch as we can shorten this up a little bit. We'll go right about there. Let's go ahead and secure that all the way from the front to the rear. And again, we're trying to keep this nice and even. You don't necessarily need to cover every square inch. Alright, I'm at the tip of that hook. You start seeing it jerk around like that. I'm bopping that thread around that tip of that hook. It's after a while, your brain and your hands kind of get that muscle memory of, if I'm back there, I need to not catch that tip of that hook. Only one thing needs to come in contact with that tip of that hook, and that's going to be a fish. We have a question in the chat. Steve Trybowski, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Would white thread be more appropriate for a floss body? Well, I mean, as you can see, this black is not coming through. Not too much. This rayon, it's with all 4 strands being 300 denier, you're throwing 1200 denier on with each wrap. I think it covers it up fairly well. I think included with the kit, I don't know, I think traditionally, you know, a lot of these bucktail streamer patterns were tied with black thread, because you see a lot of them end up with a black head up front, and I don't think the traditionalists back in the day were tying with white thread and then using a black marker at the very end, which is always a fun little option. Nowadays, I know some fly tyers, all they buy is white thread and markers. If they need to add color, they will add it themselves. But yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, you know, the more I look into, you know, some of the pictures of the older classic, you know, patterns. I think I do definitely see a lot of just plain black thread. But I think if I were using like a white floss, absolutely. It also depends on how transparent it is. So. Alright, we'll hold this up and to the right. We'll go ahead and secure this down. Actually, I'm going to wrap this maybe a couple more wraps forward. That'll be fine. Getting picky with it, that's okay. Switch hands, a couple locking wraps over here. Trim that off nice and close. Alright, we're going to take our counter wraps with our Mylar. And again, we wanted this to end up silver side out, so when we tied this in, we tied it gold side out. Take our counter wraps, line that tip of that hook. Nice and even. Go ahead and take one extra wrap of that Mylar. I didn't do it on that first one, but I did it on that second one. Fold that kind of down and back. And just make sure you get that Mylar in there real good. Alright, we'll trim off our excess. And again, I got myself a couple inches. You know, I got a little bin I saved these bits of Mylar in. Great for little flashbacks. Anywhere you need to add a little bit of extra, of sparkle. Let's see, who do we got here? We got Josh Anderson, good morning, and Jacob Simpson, morning. Thanks for tuning in. We are doing these fly tying kit instructional videos as live streams, edit free. Alright, here we go. We're on to our wing. Let's move on to our yellow bucktail. Pluck out a little bit. I'm going for the longest hairs, and we're going to trim this nice and close to the hide. Now we get to clean. Go ahead and hold the bucktail by the tips. We're going to strip off all the little fuzz and junk that's in there. Give it a little bit of a twist. Kind of opens up some more real estate and frees out more junk. Yeah, this one's going to be a little sparser than that first one, and that's fine with me. Now you could stack these in the hair stacker if you wanted, but in the book, the instructions, in the recipe, this does not call for the hair to be stacked. So we want our tips to be more or less pretty close. So there's one hook's length. That's where we're going to tie it in. Pinch down on that. And make sure your thread is about that a little bit further back than the eye's length. We're going to tie these all on top. Wraps locking it down and a wrap or two in front to keep it from rolling. I trim these off at an angle. And the apex of that angle, the top of that angle cut should be, keep it behind the eye of the hook there. And we'll secure that down a little bit more. Beautiful. Don't worry about wrapping the front yet super nice, super pretty, but we do want it to be super secure. Moving on to our brown bucktail, same thing. Take off a little piece of that. And your portions should be about the same. Trim that off. We're going to clean this up. This one's a little bit cleaner. No two tails are going to be the same. So this one requires slightly less cleaning, and the tips are coming out just a little bit clearer, or cleaner. Alright, we'll set this on top, same length as our yeller. Couple locking wraps. Do a wrap or two underneath to keep it from sliding and rotating. And then we'll trim off our excess at a slight angle. And we'll just kind of show that angle. So the angle's right at about like that, opposed to being a 90-degree perpendicular cut. Cock my scissors out just at a slight angle. So as I wrap forward, we get a slight taper. Theoretically. Alright, one last round. Back to the yellow. And I've actually have taken big pieces of bucktail and cut it down into smaller clumps, smaller workable sections with just the dyed portions. Kind of a quick grab bag. Alright. Last little chunky yellow, look at all that underfur in there. Hold it by the tips nice and tight. Pinch. Twist slightly. If you have an eyebrow brush, that works great too. This is just way too much in my clump, so I'm going to thin this out just a little bit. This is a little bit more appropriate. Alright, match that wing up right on top. Angled cut. And we'll build our head. Get that hair up, point down, and then we can wrap back and forth a couple of times. Securing that down, nice, nice, nice. Nice and tight. Alright, I'm back here. I'm going to lift that wing up. I'm going to go directly underneath that with a couple of thread wraps. I'm going to pull forward with that. That helps that wing kind of sit up a little bit prouder, if you will. Alright, looks like we got good coverage. This head up front, all the way around, and we'll finish it with a whip finish. Let's go 1, 2, 3, and for giggles and grins, we'll go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Trim off that tying thread nice and close. Alright, let's go ahead and add our insurance policy. Again, we're using the included water-based head cement from Loon Outdoors. It doesn't say to shake, but I've been shaking every time I go to apply it. And this is a big enough head. We'll just slop it right on with the applicator brush. And that'll get absorbed right in there, nice and firm. We'll use our bodkin, spread it around just a little bit. thread. And that's what we're looking for. Some nice absorption. Make that bucktail streamer bulletproof. We got a couple, one little, yeah, I don't like him. The rest I will manage with. We like it. When you see that one hair that bothers you, there we go, we got it. That'll be alright. Just add water and that sucker will swim. Looks a little wild right now, but once we get it in the water, that'll all slick back and that's gonna swim just fine. Alright, so there you have it. That is the bucktail streamer. Hope you all enjoyed that tutorial. On deck next, we're going to be tying up the beadhead bunny leech. Oh boy, I love a good bunny leech. See, we're getting into these larger patterns, and it's not that larger patterns are easier to tie. It's just, that's what I fish with. And these are a lot of fun. So thanks for tuning in. Questions, comments, concerns, be sure to let us know what's going on in the comment section. So until our next video, which should be coming up pretty soon, we'll probably knock another one out this morning. So hit that subscribe button, hit that alarm notification, and you'll know when the next video will be popping up shortly. So thank you for watching, everybody. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Happy tying. Tight lines. Peace.